Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Hare Hare Ram Hare
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare Ram
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Ram
Ram,
Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare Hare
Krishna,
Hare Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare
Hare
Hare Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram Hare Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Nam
Ram,
Ram Ram Hare
Hare
Hare Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna Hare 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 Ram Nam Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Nam Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Nam Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Nam Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram
Hare Krishna. Vansha kalpatarubhasya cha kripa sindhuvaiva cha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti vaishnavrinda ki jai. नामाचार्य श्रीला हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासद गौर भक्तविंद की जय। श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. This is Aditi Devi Dasi in Canada, welcoming all of you to Bhakti Sanga conference call this morning. I thank all of you for attending this session. Please forgive me for interrupting your ecstatic chanting. I would like to read the 10 offenses to the holy name, which is to be avoided, written by Srila Vasudeva in Padma Purana. 1. To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider the names of demigod like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in pursuance to the Vedic version. 5. To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. 6. To give some interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on the strength of holy name. 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karma kanda. 9. To instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. 10. To not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to achieve the desired success, Krishna Prema. Let us move to our next session, which is Srimad Bhagavatam class. Before we move forward, I would like devotees to unmute themselves, and may I know who all have joined this morning.
Hare Krishna, Aditi Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Shyama Gauri Devi Dasi from Charlotte.
Hare Krishna, Shama Gauri Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you, Mataji, for giving your association and your services. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Aditi Mataji, Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Priti Dasi from Charlotte. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. dear Mataji, Preeti Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you, Mataji, for joining every morning. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharajis. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devidasi from Raleigh. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you, Mataji, for joining this morning. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Aditi Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from College Station, Texas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you, Mataji, for your association and for all your services. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga and all the assembled devotees. This is Yashamati Priya Devidasi from Chicago.
Hare Krishna, Yashomita Priya Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you, Mataji, for joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam to you and all Vaishnava. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai. Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Vrinda Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you, Mataji, for joining every morning. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Aditi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam to you and all the devotees. All glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, all glories to Assembly devotee. This is Mohini Lakshmi from Detroit.
Hare Krishna, Mohini Lakshmi Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you, Mataji, for joining this morning. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Aditi Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. My humble obeisances to all the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. This is Sundarangi Radha Devidasi from Canada.
Hare Krishna, Sundaranga Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you, Mataji, for your association and your service. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dharma Pranam. My name is Priyamada Radha Priya Devidasi from Canada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Radha Priya Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you, Mataji, for joining. Are you joining for the first time, Mataji?
I not very regular Mataji. Once in a while I join.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your association. Keep joining every morning, Mataji. Hare Bol. Hare Krishna. Is there anybody else who would like to introduce themselves?
Hare Krishna, Aditi Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, and all the glories to the assembled devotees. This is Manjri Leela Devidasi from Naperville. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Manjri Leela Devidasi. Please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you, Mataji, for joining every morning. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Aditi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Valli from Naperville, Chicago. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Valli Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you, Mataji, for your association and coming on this and joining this morning, Mataji. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Keshavanand Prabhuji to enlighten us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, chapter 14 and verses 15 and 16. But before we move forward, I would like to hand over the call to Mataji just to give a brief introduction. Sudarangi Mataji, please go ahead and
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you, Mataji, for giving me the opportunity. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. Here is a brief introduction about our today's speaker, Dr. Keshavanand Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji was a professional doctor for many years. and he is now a practicing monk. Since the last 20 years, he has conducted extensive research and authored books in the field of science and spirituality. He feels the rift between science and spirituality must disappear to bring peace in the world. If spirituality is a superstition and a myth, science is materialistic and atheist. A new approach to life is needed today that can bring the best of both. Science must re-embrace spirituality and be humble to admit its defects, flaws, and ignorance, and spirituality must base itself on sound, scientific, and rational ideas. Keshavanand Prabhuji has studied both Vedic and Western philosophy. Besides learning Sanskrit, he also learned Bengali, Gujarati, Marathi, and Kannada. To know about other tradition, his persistent endeavor in the field of science and spirituality has enabled him to come up with seminars on diverse topics like science and Vedas, mind and machines, science fails to explain life, consciousness, and beyond, etc. That he has presented in various colleges in India, Europe, and America under the guidance of his spiritual master, His Holiness Bhaktidira Swami. He has also started a Gurukula, a traditional system of Vedic education in Punjab, India, where children learn the ancient Vedic culture and values. Besides, he has started a farm community. The community has a traditional way of living with mud huts and thatched roof with cows, and of course, farming. The community will set a model for the world to show how to live a life based on the principle of simple living and high thinking. All glories to Prabhuji's services. Thank you, Mataji. This was a brief introduction about our today's speaker. Now I will hand over the call to you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for that brief introduction. Let me see. I think Prabhuji has already joined. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji. Please accept.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you for your association this morning, Prabhuji. And you'll be enlightening us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 7, Canto 7, chapter 14, verse 15 and 16. Over to you, Prabhu.
Okay, I'll just speak. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 7, 14, 15. Devan Rishin Nirbhutani. Actually, first 15th and 16th are to read. Devan Rishin Nirbhutani. Pitrinatmanam Anvaham. Svavrityagata Vittena. Ajeta Purusham Prithak. 16th also we are reading. Yari Atmano Adhikar Adya Sarvasyuryaggya Sampadaha Vaitanikena Vidhina Agnihotra Adina Yajit. So, text 15 and 16 translation. Every day one should worship the Supreme Being who is situated in everyone's heart. On this basis, one should separately worship the demigods, saintly persons, ordinary human beings, living entities, one's forefathers and oneself. This way one is able to worship Supreme Being in the course of everyone's heart. 16th, and one is enriched with wealth and knowledge which are under his full control, by means of which he can perform yajna or please Supreme Personality of Godhead. One must perform sacrifices, offering oblations to the fire, according to the directions of the Shastras. In this way, one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is 16th purport. If a grahastha or householder is sufficiently educated in Vedic knowledge and has become sufficiently rich to offer worship to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he must perform yajnas as directed by authorized scriptures. Bhagavad Gita clearly says, Yajna arthat karmana netra lokoyam karma. Everyone may be engaged in occupational duties, but the result of these duties should be offered for sacrifice to satisfy the Supreme Lord. One is fortunate enough to possess transcendental knowledge as well as the money with which to perform sacrifices. One must do it according to directions given in the Shastras. He said in Srimad Bhagavatam, Krite Adhyayata Vishnu, Kritayam Jato Makhai Dvapare Paricharyadam Kalautat Hari Kirtanam. Famous verse. Entire Vedic civilizations aims at satisfying Supreme Personality of Godhead. This was possible in Satyuga by meditation upon Supreme Lord within the course of one's heart. Treta Yuga by performance of costly yajnas. Same goal could be achieved in Dwapar Yuga by worship of the Lord in the temple. This age Kali, one can achieve the same goal by performing Sankirtan. Therefore, one who has education and wealth must use them to satisfy Supreme Personality of Godhead by helping the Sankirtan movement that has already begun, the Hare Krishna movement of Krishna consciousness. All educated and wealthy persons must join this movement, since money and education are meant for service of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Money and education are not engaged in the service of the Lord. These valuable assets must be engaged in service of Maya. Education of so-called scientists, philosophers, poets is now engaged in service of Maya, and the wealth of the rich is also engaged in Maya's service. Service of Maya, however, creates a chaotic condition in the world. Therefore, the wealthy man and educated man should sacrifice their knowledge, opulence, by dedicating them for satisfaction of Supreme Lord, joining the Sankirtan movement. Yagya Sankirtana Prayajandihi Sumetas. This is how it goes. Okay, I'll just begin. Om Agyanhatimmirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave. Yeah. So these two verses are talking about, anyway, I think these verses are spoken by Devarshi Narada. So anyway, these verses are talking about worship of, the 15th verse is talking about worship of, we all say, like 5 worship should, everybody should perform. Everyone should worship demigods, Devan, this word comes, Rishin, that is saintly persons, and ordinary human beings and living entities, Nirbhutani. Pitrin means forefathers, and 5th is an Atmana. Atmana means oneself. Now this is quite confusing, but anyway, Srimad Bhagavatam says that everyone should worship these 5 things, because especially demigods, saintly people, other living entities, forefathers, because we have a depth for them, and the depth is that why we are indebted, because demigods give us rains and sun and light, all the Suryadev, Chandradev, and saintly people, they have given us knowledge of Vedas and scriptures and our culture. And ordinary human living beings, they help us to live in society. We are all dependent on so many things, on others, and of course forefathers. By forefathers, because they have helped us increase our generation. Our forefathers bless us, bless their generation to be healthy and to be wealthy in this material world. We receive blessings from them, so we are indebted to them. And oneself means, of course, our own self. Of course, our own self is not worshipable in one way, but another way our own self is worshipable. I'll explain you later. But before that, Bhagavatam says that it is necessary to worship these. It is necessary to worship these 4 items, let's say, independently. But the idea is how to worship them. We should not worship demigods separately. We should not worship saintly people separately. We should not worship other living entities separately. That's not advised by Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam says there are 2 ways to do that. One is either you worship Supreme Personality of Godhead directly, and all of them are automatically satisfied, just like watering the root of a tree. We know that. Or Bhagavatam says here in this verse that one should worship the Supreme Being situated in the heart of demigods. So that is why when people chant Vedas, now even today, if you go to South India, there are Samvedi, Yajurvedi, they all chant Vedas. And in Vedas, there are praises of demigods like Indra, Varun, Agni, Ashwani, Kumar. These praises are the Shiva, Rudra. and Durga. There are praises for them. Now Vedas are a part of our culture, and everyone have. It's compulsory to read Vedas if you are born in a Brahmanical family. That is your dharma. But in the Vedas, there are demigods praises. So you have to chant those suktas in yagya if you are doing some yagya homa. So how to do that? Then in that case, these brahmanas who are chanting Vedic mantras. When they chant the Vedic mantras of Indra, they are meditating on not on Indra, but on the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the heart of Indra, that Antaryam. So, for example, Rig Ved starts with the praise of Agni. There is Agni Sukt. And when they are chanting this Agni Sukt, what they are doing, they are meditating on the Paramatma in the heart of Agni. That's how they are doing. So that's how they are worshipping demigods through Vedas, but actually they worship the Supreme Personality of God. And they're giving respect to demigods. That is obviously required to give respect to higher beings and to give respect to have helped us. That is a human thing, you know. If we don't know how to respect people who have helped us, then that makes us animal. We are not even human beings. So at least this is required. So for us, for Gaudiya Vaishnavas, it is not required to worship demigods, and because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, we don't need to read Vedas. We don't read Vedas. Instead, we read Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a direct commentary on Vedanta Sutra. Vedanta Sutra, which is a conclusion of Vedas. So Mahaprabhu said, don't go into this indirect process. Directly chant Hare Krishna and worship Krishna, and if he is satisfied, all demigods are satisfied. But there is a Brahmanical tradition in South India, very strong, and they have all preserved the Vedic tradition. So for them, this verse is applicable and very much meaningful. In fact, Ramanujacharya, he has written a commentary on Vedanta Sutra, and in that commentary, he explains that when we are chanting Vedic mantras, then what we have to do? We have to chant Vedic mantras with understanding that we are worshipping not the demigod himself, but the Antaryami, but the super soul within the heart of demigod. Madhva comments slightly differently. He says when we are chanting Agni Sukta, then we have to meditate on Agni as well as the super soul within the heart of the Agni. So both of them simultaneously. So that by understanding that Agni is a powerful servant of Vishnu, God. So in that way, we give respect to Agni, not as a demigod in itself, but as a Vaishnava, as a powerful servant of the Lord and the Lord himself. So this completes the whole picture of chanting the Vedic mantras. And that's a beautiful way to chant. So, but that needs some practice. So that's how we worship demigod and the Supreme Person, Vishnu, simultaneously. That's how Madhvacharya explains how to chant Vedic mantras. If at all you're chanting Vedic mantras, and if suppose, I mean to say, even as a Gaudiya Vaishnava, we are bound to do yagyas like marriage ceremonies, or maybe, for example, if suppose somebody is a Graha Pravesh, people do yagyas. So in that yagyas, again, then you have to chant Vedic mantras. So then you require this verse. You require this verse to understand how to chant Vedic mantras and how to worship demigods and God simultaneously through those Vedic mantras. So that's worshipping demigods. Second is worshipping saintly people. This is important because, I mean to say, we cannot say we are worshipping Krishna, so we should not worship saintly people. That's absolutely ridiculous. In fact, we should worship saintly people, understanding that saints, they carry the Supreme Person in their heart. So when anyone worships saintly people, then actually Krishna accepts their worship as his own worship. So in Vedas, what happens is when you chant any mantra, before chanting a mantra, first you have to pronounce the name of the rishi who has actually revealed that mantra. Like for example, Gayatri mantra. So before chanting Gayatri mantra, you have to say the name of Vishwamitra and put your hand on the top, and you have to say Vishwamitra. So because Vishwamitra revealed this Gayatri mantra. So because Vedic knowledge is given by saints to a society, you're bound to worship them, especially if you're following Vedic tradition. In our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, we don't require to worship saints, so we don't require to worship Vedic saints separately. But at the same time, we worship Lord Krishna and his associates instead of worshipping saintly people, saints of Vedic tradition. We don't do that. But of course, as I said, if you're doing yajna, even as a Gaudiya Vaishnava, you need to worship saintly people. This Raghunath Das Goswami, his practice was that he used to offer obeisances to 1,000 Vaishnavas daily. Now you might ask from where he will find 1,000 Vaishnavas. That's not possible. So he used to take the name, whatever Vaishnavas he used to see, he used to offer obeisances, and the rest he used to take the name of that Vaishnava in his mind and then offer obeisances. So I think if you read Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, at least there will be mentioning of. So how many saints will be there in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela? Maybe around, if you make a list out of it, Nityanand Shakha, Chaitanya Shakha, Advait Shakha. If you make all those lists, there will be at least around 200 names, isn't it? 200, 250, 300 names. 300 Gaudiya Vaishnava associates. So at least you get that, isn't it? So what Raghunath Das Goswami used to do, he used to take Chaitanya Charitamrita and then say names. So he used to say the name Nityananda in his mind and then offer obeisances. Advaita in his mind, then offer obeisances. Mahesh Pandit in his mind, then offer obeisances. Rudra Pandit, then offer obeisances. And then like that, Dhananjay Pandit, and then offer obeisances. Kanai Thakur, offer obeisances. Mamu Thakur, offer obeisances. Janva, offer obeisances. Abhiram Thakur, offer obeisances. Malati, offer obeisances. He used to do like that in his mind and then offer obeisances. So, in fact, in all traditions, worshipping saintly people is a tradition. Raghunath Swami himself showed we don't worship Vedic rishis, but we worship associates of Mahaprabhus. That at least we do. Or associates of Krishna. There is a book. If you want to have a list of associates of Mahaprabhu, either you can read Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, or you can read a book, Gaur Gannodesh Deepika. There is a book, Gaur Gannodesh Deepika, written by Kavi Katpur Das, and he has given list of all associates of Mahaprabhu. And you can speak them, and you can recite the name, and then offer obeisances. Now, one thing is that I don't think so Raghunath Das Goswami was offering obeisances physically. That I don't think so, because 1,000 times if you offer obeisances physically, your back will break, isn't it? And you will have problems with your knees. So, and in fact, Raghunath Das Goswami himself was a very weak person physically. So in mind, you can offer obeisances. For Krishna, it doesn't matter whether you offer physically or in mind. It doesn't matter. For Srila Prabhupada, I think Brahmanand, Prabhu, he wrote a letter from prison to Prabhupada. And he was saying, in prison, what should we do? How should we worship Jagannath? We can't do arti, we can't do anything. Prabhupada said, do arti in your mind. Krishna can accept physically, then he can accept in your mind also. For him, it doesn't matter. And if Krishna doesn't want to accept in your mind, then he will not even accept physically. So that's why we should all, every day we should all remember saintly people. And in our mind, we should offer obeisances to them. This was taught to us by Raghunath Das Goswami. So either you can buy that book, Gaur Gannodesh Deepika. It's not required. By Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, there's a list. And if you want to offer obeisances to Lord Krishna's associates, then that list you can get from what's that book? Krishna Gannodesh Deepika. There's a book by Jiva Goswami. I think Jiva Goswami. Yeah. He gives all the list of associates of Krishna. Isn't that's a book? No, Krishna Gannodesh Deepika. So, but to remember saintly people, that should be a practice daily. That should be a practice daily. For that, you should know saints. You should know life history of saints. You should know some saints by heart, and you should remember them. So we have to check our lives. How many saintly people we remember daily? I don't think so. Most of us. Do you remember? We generally don't remember saintly people daily. We generally remember Krishna or maybe Mahaprabhu. Srila Prabhupada, of course, we remember. But we have to remember other saints also. In fact, in all traditions like that. If you go to Jainism, they have a mantra. They have a mantra, Namokar mantra. And in that mantra, what they speak, they offer obeisances to all the saints in the entire world. I think, what's that mantra? Namokar mantra? I forgot. Namo Arihantanam. Isn't it? It's like that.
Yes.
Namo
Namo Vajjanam. Namo Siddhanam. Namo Vajjayanam. Namo Loe Sawa Sahunam. Eso Panchana Mukkaro Sawa Pavapasano. Mangalanam.
You are Jain?
No, Prabhuji, I'm a pure Vaishnava. I'm not Jain. But I know that mantra.
You know that mantra. Okay. Okay, so it's a beautiful mantra. I mean, it's a Jain mantra, but the meaning is very nice. Namo Aryantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Airirayanam, Namo Uvajjayanam, Namo Loe Sabve Sahunam, Eso Pancha Namokaro, Sabve Pap Panasano, Manglanam Cha Savesim Paramam Havai Mangalam. It's like that. So what it means I give my respect to all Arihantas. Arihantas in the tradition, Arihantas means Paramahamsas in our tradition. So I give all respect to all Arihantas. Namo Arihantan, Namo Siddhanam. I give respect to all Siddhas. Siddhas means Siddha we know, all mystic, perfect people. All perfect people. They are below Arihantas, but they are perfect, just like Paramahamsas and Sannyasis. Namo Ariyanam, I give all respect to all acharyas in a tradition. Namo Uvajjayanam, I give all respect to all upadhyas, to my teachers. Namo Loe Sabbe Sahunam, I give all respect to all sadhus. It's a beautiful verse, and this is their verse which they have to recite daily, and then they meditate on all the Arihantas. They are 24 Arihantas, all Siddhas, all Acharyas, Upadhyas, Sadhus, and they offer their respect in their mind. So it's a beautiful verse for. Even if you're not Jain, you can recite it, isn't it? Namo Arihantanam, you can remember all your Paramahamsas. All Paramahamsas in a line. Bhagavatam speaks about Paramahamsas, isn't it? Rishabdev, and then Jad Bharat, they were all Paramahamsas. Prahlad, he met that Paramahamsa in that jungle. They're all Paramahamsas. Namo Siddhanam, I give all respect to all liberated souls. Bhagavatam is full of all liberated souls, isn't it? Namo Aryanam, all respect to all acharyas. In our tradition, there's so many acharyas. Sri, Vaishnava, Madhva, Gaudiya Vaishnava acharyas. Namo Upajjayanam, respect to all teachers, Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru, Pradashya Guru, all of them. And all respect to all sadhus. Namo Loe Sabbe Sahuna. Sabbe Sahuna. This is very nice mantra. The idea is we don't chant this mantra, but we should understand the spirit of this mantra. Why this mantra is made by them. The mantra is made so that we develop respect for everybody in this entire creation. That's what Mahaprabhu taught us. Srinad Apisuni Chena. What does Srinad Apisuni Chena mean? That you should consider yourself even lower than the straw in a street. And what that means is that we should give respect to everybody. That's why he says Amanena, Mandena. So we have to make it a practice. So how will you give respect to all of them? You should have all of them in your mind, first of all. You remember them. But you know what I mean this, if you ask devotees about acharyas of a parampara, they even don't know that. Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, then stop. Very few people know about our acharyas. And if you know their life history, that's the best. Then you can give respect from your heart. So giving respect, giving worship to saintly people, that's required. We have to do that. Giving respect, worshipping ordinary human beings and living entities. Nri Bhutani. That's also required because everybody, you see the point, we are all dependent. None of us are independent. We all need help. In fact, so we were reading that quote, the greatest courage a man can show is to ask help. Now, this might look contradictory, but it's like that only. The greatest courage is to ask help because to ask help, you have to conquer your false ego. And then you can ask for help, isn't it? People don't ask for help because they have their ego with them. So we are all dependent on people. In society, we need clothes, we need food, we need farmers, we need people who make clothes, we need people who make houses. At every step, we need people's help, isn't it? If we become diseased, we need doctors. You can't live alone. Even if you're living alone in a jungle, still you need help. Still you need help of trees to get food. You need help of rivers to get water. So we need help of people. That is why we are indebted to everybody in the society. That is why we should worship living human beings and living entities. How we should worship? What's the meaning of worshipping here? We can worship them by giving them Krishna consciousness back. That's what we can do. We can do that. Worshipping means service. We can serve them by giving God as far as possible. That we can do. We can worship saintly people. I was talking about saintly people. We can worship saintly people not just by remembering them, but Bhagavatam says we can worship saintly people by following the teachings. That's the best worship. And how can we worship demigods? You can worship demigods either by yajna, if you are in Vedic tradition, or you can worship demigods by chanting God's name, which will make them happy. That's what we do. And then we have to worship our forefathers. Why we have to worship our forefathers? Because we are indebted to them. Because of them, we are here. Otherwise, we won't be here. We need our forefathers. And forefathers are continuously giving us blessings. The forefathers, if they're in Pitra Lok, they will give blessings to their 4 generations coming ahead. So we are indebted to our forefathers, and especially by forefathers because they have given us a tradition. You see, we have learned so many things from our grandfather, great grandfather. That knowledge passes down from our family traditions. So because we got family tradition from our forefathers, Brahmins got Brahmanical tradition from their forefathers, Kshatriya got Kshatriya tradition from their forefathers. So that is why we are indebted to them. So we should worship them. How to worship them? How to worship them? The system of Vedic tradition is to give Pindadan. Pindadan? Shraddh? Shraddh. System of Vedic tradition is to do Shraddh for them. System of Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition is not to do Shraddh, but is to simply chant the names of God and ask for God to give them blessings. That's all. So when this period of Shraddh comes, then we do Harinam Sankirtan for the peace of their soul. That's all. That's all we have to do. And we don't have to do it separately also. Automatically it is done. Because Bhagavatam says anybody who chants God's name, their 7 generations behind and forthcoming generations all are liberated. That's the beauty of chanting God's name. So that's why we have to worship forefathers like that, and we have to worship oneself. Now this is the most difficult point there, worshiping oneself. I'll tell you an interesting thing. I was in Haridwar many years back, and in Haridwar what happened was this. Who was that? There was one yogi. I was staying in a room besides, and there was one yogi And what he was doing, we were seeing from the window, and he was doing his own arti like this. He was doing his own arti. And I was shocked. I asked him, what's happening? Have you gone bad? He told me that I'm worshipping super soul in my heart. I'm doing arti of my super soul in my heart. Of course, we don't worship self like that. That's absolutely ridiculous. We don't do like that. So that's you'll be seen as a bad person. The system of worshipping oneself is to control our own senses and purify our existence. That is a system of worshipping oneself. Now here, that's how we worship ourselves. We're purifying ourselves and offering our soul in the service of God, a purified soul. And that's what, if you read scriptures, that is why you see Upanishadic tradition or Gyanis, for them sense control is very important. Vairagya, it's very important. But when you come to Bhakti tradition, we in Bhakti tradition, sense control is not in the way that Gyanis do. Gyanis sense control is a mean for liberation. But for us, Bhakti tradition, sense control is a means to worship God and not a means to liberation. Actually, it's not a means to liberation. Sense control is a limb to worship God. It is worshipping God. That's the whole idea. For us, there's a very different understanding of sense control. For Gyanis, it's, let me say, for Gyanis, sense control is a ladder to attain liberation. For us, sense control is worshipping God. It's like offering flowers, offering lamp, offering chamar. So we are offering ourselves to God in arti. You see like that? We purify ourselves and we offer ourselves in arti. In fact, the lamp which you offer to God, it symbolizes your soul. And it, because fire is always pure, it symbolizes your pure soul, which you're offering to God when we are offering arti. So that's how we worship our own self. So we don't do our own arti or something. That's a madness. So that is how we worship all these items. There's a system of worshipping demigods, system of worshipping saintly people, system of worshipping ordinary human beings, system of worshipping forefathers, system of worshipping oneself. You don't worship everybody in the same manner. You don't do that. The system of worshipping demigods is by doing yajna and chanting Vedic suktas, and with giving respect to demigods and the super soul in the heart of demigods simultaneously. System of worshipping saintly people is to remember them in the mind, paying them obeisances in the mind, and following their teachings. System of worshipping ordinary human beings and living entities is to give them Krishna consciousness as far as possible. System of worshipping forefathers is to chant the holy names of Lord in the Shraddha period or separately also, and praying for the liberation and peace of the soul. And system of worshipping oneself is to control your senses, purify existence, and offering your purified soul to God. That's all we do. That's all. It's as simple as that. So that is why it is said, one should separately worship demigods, saintly people, ordinary human beings, one for father, oneself. And this system is very nice. In Krishna consciousness, what happens is, when we come into Krishna consciousness, we generally say you don't have to worship demigod, rishis, living entities, pitra, because everything is fulfilled by chanting holy names, just as you water the root of a tree and all the leaves get watered. That is all right. But at the same time, on that excuse, taking that excuse, we become arrogant and we stop giving respect to everybody else. And that is a disaster, because Mahaprabhu says, Amane namandena kirtanaya sada hari. If a consciousness like that, and we don't give respect to, I mean to say, we are staying in this material world. We are surrounded by people, we are surrounded by things, and we are dependent on demigods, and if we don't give due respect to them, then we become arrogant. That's all. We are all arrogant. In the name of chanting holy names and satisfying Krishna, everybody will satisfy. That's not how a saint is. That's not how we lead our lives. Of course, our system of worshipping demigods is very different from Vedic tradition. That we have to understand. It's very different from Vedic tradition. Our system of worshipping saintly people is very different from Vedic tradition. With that understanding, the idea is we have to apply that principle in our life. The process can be different. Principle is giving respect to everybody. So everybody includes demigods also, isn't it? Everybody includes saintly people. Everybody includes everybody. Everybody includes Pitra also. But because Bhagavatam says clearly, if you worship Krishna, you don't need to worship anybody else. We can't even not follow that injunction, isn't it? Because Bhagavatam is saying, if you're chanting holy names, worshipping Vishnu, you don't need to worship everybody separately. So we can't even deny that regulation. So keeping that injunction in our mind, that if Krishna is satisfied, everybody is satisfied, that's okay. And keeping this injunction, this is also Bhagavatam, that one should separately worship demigods, saintly people, ordinary human beings, Pitra. Both injunctions are contradictory, isn't it? One injunction says you don't need to worship, another injunction says you need to worship. So how to harmonize them? How to harmonize them? By understanding the harmony and by understanding the way I have explained you. We don't, when Bhagavatam says don't worship separately, then Bhagavatam is saying don't worship them separately according to Vedic tradition. Don't do that. That's not required because the purpose of Vedas is fulfilled by chanting the holy names. But when Bhagavatam is saying that one should separately worship them, then we have to worship them according to the understanding of Lord Chaitanya. And that also fulfills Amanina Mandir. That's a very nice way to do things. So of course, now there's a question. In a Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, how do you worship demigods? So I told you, one way is when you do yagyas, initiation yagyas, or maybe this yagyas, marriage yagyas. If you're chanting Vedas, you worship demigods. Another way of worshipping demigods in our tradition is to engage all these material nature in the service of God. That's why you worship demigods. This air, there's Vayu Dev. Prithvi, it is Prithvi is who? Prithvi is Prithvi. Fire is Agni Dev. When we use these elements in the service of God, we are worshipping demigods. That's how we do. That's our style of worshipping demigods. We make temples out of bricks and earth. We are worshipping Prithvi Devi, engaging her in service of God. We are cooking for Lord. We are engaging Agni in the service of God. Like that, we worship demigods. And of course, I mean to say, if you can, soil is getting polluted, Yamuna is getting polluted, isn't it? And air is getting polluted. If you can, then if you make everybody Krishna consciousness, then this pollution stops. People understand the importance of Prithvi. Prithvi is Bhudevi. People can understand the importance of Yamuna and Ganga. They belong to God. Ganga and Yamuna, they are holy rivers. So as soon as people become Krishna consciousness, automatically they will stop polluting all these elements of the earth, and we are worshipping demigods in that. So like that, we worship demigods. Okay, so this is one verse. And the next verse is the same thing, same continuation. Next verse says, if you by chance, if by fortune you have wealth and knowledge, then you can perform yajna in the direction, according to direction of scriptures. That is Vedic tradition. You can, if you have got wealth, if you have got knowledge, Srila Prabhupada says you can worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada says you can engage your wealth and you can engage your knowledge in worshipping the 5 things which we have discussed in the previous verse. You can engage your wealth in making temples. You can engage your wealth in distributing Krishna consciousness. You can engage your education in distributing Krishna consciousness to ordinary living beings. and you can use your knowledge to purify yourself and surrender to God. So, but if you don't have wealth and knowledge, no problem. Whatever you have, Krishna will accept it. Doesn't matter. Through Sankirtan Yajna. That's how we understand these two verses properly. It's very important to understand these verses in this spirit, because generally devotees don't do that. For devotees, they think, okay, chant Hare Krishna and that's it. We don't need to understand how to worship. Worshipping cows also, isn't it? Namo Brahmane Devaya, Go Brahmana Hitaya cha. If Krishna is there, then there are cows. So we should also worship cows. That should be an AR tradition, isn't it? So Srila Prabhupada said how to worship cows. Prabhupada spoke so much against slaughterhouses. And then people ask, how to worship cows, how to stop the slaughterhouses. Now devotees are planning to bomb some slaughterhouses in Australia. Prabhupada said, you're stupid, you can't do like this, you can't keep on bombing these people who are running slaughterhouses. That's crazy. So what you should do is, you should give people Krishna consciousness, and once they get attached to Krishna, they will stop killing cows, because Krishna means cows. So that's how we worship cows. So the idea is, we worship the entire creation. That's how it goes. What's that verse? Shri Chaitanya idam Chaitanyam idam sarvam.
Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Bhutale. That Prabhu?
No, I'm not talking about that verse. Prabhupada Saraswati gives a verse there. Chaitanyam idam sarvam, something like this. I just forgot. It's actually a beautiful verse. Chaitanyam. I don't know if somebody knows, you can tell me. But Prabhupada Saraswati says in that verse that entire creation is actually carrying the living force of God. Entire creation, in every atom there is super soul. And that is why Prabhupada Saraswati says we give respect to the entire creation. Vasudevam Sarvam Iti. So we are talking about 5 things here in this purport, but actually it should be the entire creation. Mahaprabhus, they are talking about 5 things to give worship, respect. Mahaprabhu taught us to give respect to every atom and every particle of this material universe. That is Mahaprabhu. And to see how, and especially to see that how everyone else is worshipping God except ourselves. That is the idea there. Why we are worshipping demigods? Because they are worshipping Krishna. They are worshipable because they are worshipping Krishna. Why we are worshipping saintly people? Because they are worshipping Krishna. Why we are worshipping Pitras? Because they worship God in Pitralok. So when you understand that everybody is worshipping God, sun and moon, everybody is worshipping God, then one comes to this realization that if entire creation is worshipping God, why am I not worshipping? That realization comes. This system of worshipping demigods, saintly people, forefathers, is there to make you realize that you also have to worship God, because you are part of a creation. So that's very important, to give respect and to learn how to worship the entire creation. Because once you worship the entire creation is like a mirror. It's like a mirror. In fact, it is said by great saints that entire creation is a manuscript. There's a scripture, Bhagavatam, and there's a scripture, entire creation. The entire creation is a manuscript. If you know how to read this manuscript of entire creation, and if you worship it, then you will understand that you are the only person who is not worshipping God. Everyone else is worshipping God. Then that's why Mahaprabhu says, Amanena Mandena. That's the meaning of Amanena. Amanena Mandena is not a mundane thing. That okay, from today I'll give respect to temple president, and I'll give respect to temple manager and senior devotees, and that's it. Amanena Mandena. That is okay, but that's not limited to only that paradigm. small paradigm. It's not like that. Amanina has given respect to entire creation. And that's why Mahaprabhu says, if you do that, then Sada Kirtana Hari. Because every time you see this creation, you will be inspired to worship God. Every time you see stars, you will your mind will be forced to think, okay, stars are giving light and they're twinkling to please Krishna. Sun is glowing in the sky to please Krishna. They're all doing their services to Krishna nicely since immemorial time. So when trees are giving flowers to worship Krishna, trees are giving fruits to please God. How? So that by please God, they're doing service to God by providing this to humanity, isn't it? So, if we remain in that consciousness, Vasudevam Sarvamiti, Ishavashamidam Sarvam, we read Upanishad, isn't it? So, although I have just explained you how to worship these 5 items separately, but slowly, when consciousness develops, then we start worshipping the entire creation, and only in that consciousness we can do Sada Kirtana Hari. Otherwise, we'll be tempted, we'll be deviated and confused, and we'll not be able to chant Krishna's name continuously. That's what is the teaching of this verse. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada. Any questions? Anything? There.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. As usual, a very wonderful class. Very nicely, briefly discussed about the worship, about like how we should worship everyone. And at last, I like the point that this about the Amani Namadana, that slowly we will start to worship the whole world, universe. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So, devotees, we have Parth Gupta Prabhu raised hands. So, can you go ahead with your question, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. My question is, Prabhu, it is said on this basis one should separately worship demigods and saintly persons, but we also see Sakshat Haritvena, like we worship Guru as similar to God. So how do we see this?
No, I can't understand your question.
Like we are worshipping Guru as similar to God. We say Sakshat Haritvena Samasta Shastra. But it is said that we should separately worship saintly people.
What separately? What's this question? This question is like, I can't understand. Separately worship?
I think,
What we have to
Prabhu,
worship?
can I rephrase your question, Prabhu?
Yeah.
I think Prabhuji is asking, like, we are giving respect to our Guru equal to the God. Then how we can worship separately the saint people?
Well, the
What
verse
is the
itself
difference?
says, Sakshat Dharitvena Samasta Shastrair Uktas Tatha Bhavyateva Sadvi Kintu Prabhorya. It is explained, no? We worshipping Guru as God, not because Guru is God, but because Guru is very dear to God. That's all. We are worshipping saintly people, not because they are God, because they are dear to God. We are worshipping demigods not because they are God, but they are demigods. They are dear to gods. It's simple as that. I don't see any confusion there.
Okay, and last, when we perform the yajna in deity installation time, it is also Vedic yajna, the example you were giving similarly.
Which are deities?
Yeah, the deity installation time, the yajna is performed.
Yeah, of course, yeah. You see, it depends, because if you're doing deity installation in north, then you don't need Vedas. If you're doing deity installation in south, then they do yajna with Vedic tradition, because others will say, what kind of yajna is this? In north, you can do yajna installation by using Gopal Bhatt, Satkira Sardipika, where you're not chanting God's name, you're chanting names of gopis and, all the associates of Krishna. But if you're in South India, then and they do yajna installation with, they call Sri Vaishnava Brahmanas, Madhva Brahmanas, and they do with Vedic chanting. So they're, you need to understand this point, that you're chanting demigod's name, but you're actually worshipping Narayana, Vishnu in the heart of demigod. Like that. So when you're chanting Agni Sukta, actually you're not worshipping Agni, but you're worshipping the Agni of Agni. So Agni also means leader, and God is the leader of all. So when you're chanting the name Agni, you are referring to Vishnu and not demigod Agni per se, or you're referring to both of them. So that needs a little training and some understanding of suktas. Then you can do that. So in South India, it happens like that.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. And yeah, we have a question in the chat box. Radha Jyoti Mataji is asking, karmis go to demigods and they are envious also. Then why Krishna Bhagavan sanction it? Jnanis do all severe austerities for self-liberation. Then how Krishna Bhagavan gives liberation? So, and yogis wants power.
Yeah, I got the point. but the point is, you see, karmis and jnanis, they all go to demigods to get liberation, to fulfill their desires. But we know ultimately desires are fulfilled by Krishna. And Krishna himself says in Gita, what's that verse? Alpamedhasam. People who go to demigods for fulfilling their desires. They are
Yanti devan vratan devan.
No, that's not the verse. What's that verse? हाँ तेईस से हिता ज्ञानम
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
My humble obeisances at the dust of your lotus feet. My question is regarding the Kumbh Mela which is going on. My question is regarding the Kumbh Mela which is going on. We see lot of devotees there and they are having so many desires about the austerities and Lord
Okay, so it
sanctions
will be fulfilled.
everything, but they are
Yeah,
not
Lord will
coming to the
sanction.
bhakti. So
So
why
what?
Lord is not giving them bhakti instead of giving them liberation or sanctioning all the powers?
Whatever anybody wants, Krishna will give them. Whatever you desire, Krishna will give you. And the department of demigods is to fulfill desires. So they do go to demigods. So these yogis go to Durga to get moksha. These tantric people, they worship Kali, Chandi for liberation. And then yogis, they worship Shiva. They are mostly Shivites, isn't it? Aghoris, all Shiva people. And they get liberation. So it is all fulfilled by Krishna because Krishna has made the system that anybody who doesn't surrender to me, if they want to fulfill desires, go to demigods and I'll fulfill your desires. So what happens? Why he does that? At least these people who are not surrendering to God, they will surrender to somebody. They will learn how to surrender. At least Shiva, at least Durga, and at least they will come in Vedic tradition. At least they will not become Christians, isn't it? So otherwise, so much Christian conversion. So Srila Prabhupada said, Kali will fulfill your desires so that it is better to worship Kali than becoming Christian. So because at least that is in Vedic tradition. So by doing that, it is one step towards Vedas. And then maybe next life they understand, oh, actually Vedas means Om Tat Vishnu Paramapadam Yatha Pashyanti Surya. Ultimately you have to surrender to Vishnu and they'll become devotees. So it's like a baby step. So Krishna encourages, okay, fine. You want to do this. And in fact, one thing more, even these yogis and jnanis, they have to control their senses to attain their desires. You go to Kumbh Mela, all these aghoris and nagababas, their training is very hard. They have to control their senses to actually get siddhis and whatever desires they have. They don't get so easily, all these powers. So at least they learn how to control senses. They don't become bhogi. They don't become sinful people. At least something is better than nothing. And then they have faith in Vedas and the mantras. They have faith in supernatural things. They're not deluded by so-called modern scientists. So that's why Krishna encourages them. Okay, that's it.
Prabhuji, my question is, say, I was also not in devotion, right? I was also worshipping and praising Lord Shiva. But I came in an association and then I got to know about Lord, and now I don't want liberation, because prior coming I was praying for 10 years. So when I see these yogis, gyanis, who are not any yogis and gyanis, like they are our generation, like they are IITians, they are well educated, they are in Kumbh Mela, and they know ISKCON. One or the other book they must have read, but they are not becoming devotees. So how is it? I mean, they know what is how it is. Like, we are not mad people. Like, we'll just follow. We read everything and then we choose. But Lord is not allowing them to come in bhakti. That was my question. Like, they do so much of austerities, and still they are not understanding that liberation is just very one step. Like, it's
You
very
know what?
easier.
You know what? I'll tell you what Prabhupada told. The same question were asked by Prabhupada. It's so easy, and why we are not coming to Krishna consciousness? But they are doing so many austerities. This is that. Your question, same question. But Prabhupada's answer was, Prabhupada said it's because of you. Because devotees, we are not preaching. We are just sitting in our houses, and we are not concerned about them as much as concerned we should be. We are concerned in questions, but we are not concerned really like Prabhupada. And that is why they are not devotees. Because we also became devotees by coming in contact with devotees. We didn't become devotees out of air, So somebody had to give us book, and we were convinced. So Prabhupada said that it is our fault that they are not devotees. That's one answer. And that makes sense in one sense, because we are not really, if there was another Prabhupada, then he would have changed everything. But there's no another Prabhupada like that. So that's one answer. Another answer to this question is that, I mean to say, that was one rhetorical answer. But another answer can be that everybody has his own destiny and own karmas, their own sukrutis, previous lives, bhakti sukrutis. Everybody cannot understand everything. I mean to say, they can also question you that yoga is so simple and yoga is so nice, and by doing yoga you can be so much healthy and you can control your mind, but you're simply chanting and you're eating prasad. Why can't you understand such a simple thing? If you go to Ramdev Baba, he will say it's so simple. Do pranayam, yoga, meditate. What you are always chanting Hare Krishna and drinking pills and eating prasad and becoming fat and unhealthy. So he can say the same thing. So we will be praying for them, they'll be praying for us. In that you have to come, there you have to come. It's like that, So the idea is, what last life, what we have done, we'll get attracted to the same thing. So we might have done something in last, some Bhakti Sukruti, some saints, Hare Krishna people. So we have ended up here. Those people might have done something, they have ended up there. Of course, we know it's a fortune that we are on the right place. They're also in the right place, but that's not completely right. It's some step towards truth. So we can pray for them that they come to right situation. But everybody will not understand everything because of past lives. It's not easy. And of course, Srila Prabhupada's answer is very nice, because it is fault of saints that this world is in a chaos. That's absolutely correct, because if saints would have done their work properly, then today everybody would have been Krishna consciousness. But they didn't do. And that is why the situation is like that. So like that, this is the answer.
Yes, Prabhuji, eternally grateful to you for your answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu. We have Priyanka Nagar Mataji. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for very nice knowledge, perfect knowledge you're giving all the time. Prabhuji, my question is that in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we see Sri Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami do so many times pranam.
Yeah.
In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami ji do so many times pranams in the starting of book, in every chapters, starting
Yeah,
in
he
the
does. He
last.
does.
So why he is doing it lots of time pranams? First time I
Come
see.
on.
First time I
What is
see.
his question?
First time I see so many time pranams in a book, only in CC. इतना
So
प्रणाम वो
what
कर
is
रहे
this
हैं
question? This
तो
question is doesn't make any sense. Why he's doing? That's what I told, that you have to worship saintly people. So he's in his mind, in his book, he's offering obeisances to all the devotees. That is why I told this is a tradition, no? Raghunath Goswami was saying, Krishna's Swami is saying, we also have to do. Generally, people don't read Adi Leela because so many names, ding, 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 and they miss. But that is the sadhana. That is the part of our sadhana, to read the names of associates of Mahaprabhu and with respect and honor. And that will purify us. Just like chanting names of God purifies us, chanting names of the saints also purifies us. So he's setting up a tradition. And of course, Krishna Swami is also giving a list of all the devotees. There is a purpose. It's a philosophical book. He's leaving the list of all the devotees so that there's a record somewhere in the book. Okay, these people belong to Nityanand Shaka, Advait Shaka, Mahaprabhu Shaka. So that is also another purpose. He is keeping a record there.
okay Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mataji. Actually, Adi Leela, we have that chapter, branches of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, something like that. That was really, it was like a history when reading, like so many names, as you said. So
Yeah.
it's very difficult to remember, Prabhu. How can we remember that? Do you have any?
I'll tell you how to remember. You remember names of your family members?
Yeah.
So many family members, Chacha, Tau, Mami, Mama, Pipi,
Only up to
Chichi, so
certain
many things.
number also, only we remember, even in family also. When it goes little bit more, like we forget.
No, but I remember. I remember everybody, Fufa, Fufi, Tintu Chacha, Mintu Chacha, so many people. But family members we remember. You know why? Because we know them. We know them. So we don't remember Mahaprabhu's this Adi Leela names because we don't know them. That's the idea. So we should read the names, read the life histories, and on internet everything is available, and read about them. And if possible, you can go to God Mandal and go to their places they used to live, visit them, and then you will remember easily.
Okay, Prabhu, I'll try to do that. So
yeah, that's
we
a good
should create some association with them, with the names.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. And we have Prakash Barman, Prabhu. Prakash Barman, Prabhu, can you unmute yourself?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have a question from Panchatattva. Panchatattva जो 5 principle है to represent God.
ये खिचड़ी बन रही है.
Suppose अगर ब्रह्मा जो है, ब्रह्मा अगर जीव तत्व है तो श्रीवास ठाकुर उनको रिप्रेजेंट करते
speak in
हैं.
English,
लेकिन
this
कभी-कभी
forum is Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, this forum is in English. So
Brahma,
you speak in English.
Okay. So actually, if Brahma is a Jeev Tattva, then Srivas Thakur represents Brahma. In that, Jeev Tattva is represented by Srivas. But when in the universe there is no qualification, no person qualified to become Brahma, then Vishnu himself becomes Brahma. So in that case, which Panchatattva will represent Brahma? Is it Advaita Prabhu that will represent Advaita Prabhu Tattva that will represent Brahma when Vishnu Tattva himself becomes Brahma?
No, you should not ask this question. This question is redundant. If that happens, then that happens. It is not.
Then suppose if Pancha Mahabhut is there,
out of comprehension.
Which Tattva will represent Pancha Mahabhut? Nityananda Prabhu will represent Pancha Mahabhut.
Pancha Mahabhut?
I mean,
no.
everything is...
So Advaitacharya will represent Pancha. No, Advaita Acharya will represent Panchamahabhut because he's Mahavishnu and Sadashiv. No, Mahavishnu is Panchamahabhut.
Okay, and non-devotees, who will represent Srivas? I mean, Jeev Tattva will be represented by Srivas, so non-devotees will come in that. Everything we see represented by Pancha Tattva, right? I mean, God and everything.
Yeah.
God, Ganadji.
Sure. Yeah, Srivas Thakur, he represents Jiva Tattva. All the Jiva Tattva together.
Okay.
Like
Okay,
that.
then other all universe we see, so that will be represented by Advaita Prabhu. Whatever
Advaita
we
Prabhu,
see in
Mahavishnu.
the
Yeah,
Mahavishnu.
Mahavishnu.
Okay. And Nityananda Prabhu is the spiritual world, whatever we see, that is represented by Nityananda Prabhu.
Yeah, Nityananda Prabhu, yeah.
Okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, that's it.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So we don't find any more hand raise or questions in the chat box.
Okay.
I think there is one question. Ujjwal Dhar Prabhuji is asking, Irsha and Dvesh both are equal?
What is Isha and Dvesh? What is this?
Ujjwal Dhar Prabhu, can you unmute yourself and
Both are
ask?
bad. I can just tell this, both are bad.
Okay.
That's all. In that sense, they're equal. Isha Dvesh, what is like, it's all, I don't know what he wants to ask. What's the difference?
Yeah. So meantime, Prabhuji, if you can unmute yourself and ask a question, you can go ahead. And we have here Radha Jyoti Mataji again with raised hands. So Mataji, can you go ahead?
I have one small question. Prabhuji, when we read Hindi Bhagavatam and when we read Marathi Bhagavatam for the same purport, and when we come back to English, I see there is a difference in the consciousness that it is been written. So in that case, there'll be so we can request that the meaning is getting discrete. So so the next edition it will be revived. Is it like that? Can we do that, or how it is? Like it will be never revised?
No, even if it is revised, Prabhupada is translated in English, so there will be a difference. You can't remove that difference. Whenever anything is translated, it loses some. So it will be like that, and it will be always be like that. You can't correct it until unless Prabhupada himself comes back and writes in Hindi. Or just like if you read Sanskrit commentaries of Jiva Goswami, Vishwanath, and you read English translation, there is a lot of difference because translator has his own mood and spirit of translating. And suppose if I translate the same thing, my translation will be very different because my philosophical understanding is different. That person who is translating, his philosophical understanding is different. So word choice will be different. And most of the Hindi Bhagavatam purports and Marathi, I don't know who translated, but Hindi previously they were translated by a professional when they introduced first Hindi translation, Bhagavad Gita. Then they asked devotees to translate it, revised it. So it has become much better. Even CC Bhagavatam now. So that's how they're asking devotees to revise it, and so it becomes a little better, but never come close to, I mean, it can never become same with English translation. That's not possible.
We should
Or
not fall
Marathi.
into all that, no, Prabhuji. We should not fall into
Fall?
all this. No. Means we should not
What is
compare
fall?
and we should not sit and compare. And
No, that's not required. People who don't understand English, let them read Hindi. That's all. But if anybody asks, then you can say that it's English. If you know English, it is easy and it is having a spirit there. That's all. Otherwise, Hindi is also good. Marathi is also good. Just give them.
okay, Prabhuji. Thank you so much and eternally
Hare
grateful to
Krishna.
you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Parth Prabhu, do you have any question? Can unmute.
So, Prabhu, regarding this book, so is it also like Bhagavad Gita was also revised many times? So is it also that
Yeah.
we should read the original and not the original? Because here also the spirit changes.
Well, original, what Prabhupada wrote, there are so many spelling mistakes. They did correction of spelling mistakes. That's okay, no? So there's no point of harping on original thing. There are some things which are missing in, or which are there in original, some words, but that's very trivial thing. So it doesn't really matter.
So the spirit is same, so there is no problem reading.
No. Revised doesn't mean that they've changed the sentences. Revised English edition is edited. They have not translated English into English. That doesn't happen, no? So
No, but
editing is
you
okay,
said
no?
whenever someone edits or whenever someone writes,
No.
the
I
spirit.
didn't say no. Whenever somebody translates, not edits. Editing is required in every book. Even the authors who write fictional books, they get editors. But their spirit is not lost. No, editing doesn't change the sentences. Editors, the main work of good editor is to keep the spirit and just correct the mistakes and make the sentences in a proper syntax so that people can understand. That's all. And not even all of them. Some of them which are confusing. That's okay, no? That is a normal routine with every book. Even Jiva Goswami required an editor. Rupa Goswami required an editor. Jiva Goswami for his books, Sanskrit books. So, but translation is different. No, translation is very different thing. One language to another language. That's called translation. Editing is not translation. Okay.
Yes, Prabhu. So, do you have time, Prabhu? We have some questions in the chat.
Yeah, 2-3 minutes more. Just ask. Relevant
Relevant
one.
is asking regarding worshipping the forefathers, chanting is enough. But chanting is actually for Krishna Prema. Then how to understand this?
Well, chanting is for Krishna Prema. Chanting is also for chanting. When you're chanting, then you're also praying to Krishna that please give your blessings to the entire creation. You're not chanting for ourselves, no. You see what is Krishna Prema? Krishna Prema means you love Krishna. And loving Krishna means to actually fulfilling his desires. And his desire is that entire creation should get liberation and his blessings. So in that way, it's the same thing what we are doing. If you are praying to Krishna that entire creation should get blessings, that is one step towards Krishna Prema. And if you're praying to Krishna, Krishna give me blessings, that is one step away from Krishna Prema. Only give me blessings, and you're not thinking of anybody else. One step away from Krishna Prema. Because that's not loving Krishna, that's loving yourself. So it changes the picture. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. And that last question is like this Ujjwal Prabhu is asking, what is the difference between Isha and Dvesha? Isha means, I think, he is asking Icha and Dvesha.
I don't know what is Irsha and Dvesh is the same thing, no? Why is harping in Irsha and Dvesh? What's the practical problem? I mean to say,
I don't know.
it doesn't serve any purpose, no, this question.
Okay. Okay, Prabhu. Thank you so much. So we don't find any more hand raise or questions in the chat box. So thank you so much once again for all your association, and we want your association in future also. Very nice class and Q&A. Jai Prabhu. And devotees, let's pay our obeisances to Prabhuji.
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः राधे राधे
Thank you, Prabhu.
राधे राधे
Hare Krishna.